In this video, we're going to go through hip precautions, that contentious topic. Are they good? Are they bad? I'm going to real knuckle down in this video and hopefully clear that out for you. Now, hip precautions, historically, for people who are being treated for hip replacement surgery, are often given to try and mitigate dislocation rate. And historically, that's what's been given. That's what's still given now in a number of hospitals worldwide, really, in order to try and mitigate the risk of dislocation. Now, we really need to understand the pitfalls of this. Now, before I do that, I need to caveat this video by really explaining, especially to clinicians and also patients that are watching, if you're under the care of a surgeon who is giving you hip precautions, please, even though I'm a hip expert myself, I don't want you to go to them and say, you know what, I watched some video and some random English bald bloke on YouTube telling me to ditch my hip precautions. Do it in a professional way if you're a physio. Do it in a gentle way if you're a patient, just to kind of ask those questions. My advice here is purely based on how I work, the environments I work in, and really understanding the research in regards to where the pitfalls of this are. Now I've said that, I need to kind of get into this nitty gritty of hip precautions, because I get it. Like, historically, there was an increased risk of the hips dislocating. And often, in order to mitigate that, patients would be told things like, don't sit on things that are too low. Don't bring the hip too far up towards your chest. Don't stand on one leg and pivot and twist down to the floor. So if you drop something, get your partner to come and pick it up, or just wait for someone to come and help you out. And historically that used to work, but things have changed. The way that the surgery is done has changed. The procedure has changed. The prostheses have changed. The severity and actually the size of the surgery has also changed. All of these things have optimized over the years. Things progress. And as things have progressed, and as these surgical interventions are more optimized, well, with that comes better recovery, quicker recovery, and an ability to do more quicker. And with that, the dislocation rate is also diminished. Now, interestingly here, there's studies that have been published that clearly demonstrate that hip precautions, they do have an influence on recovery. But it's not the influence that you think. And I'm going to explain this in a little bit more detail now. I want to set the scene. Let me set the context for you. You might be a patient, or you might be treating patients in this situation. But imagine this scenario. Close your eyes and think about this scenario, right? You're a patient who's on the ward, who's being told that they're going to have hip precautions afterwards, right? And you've just had hip pain for the last year and a half, 2 years. Severe pain, right? You've led to the point that you've needed to have a hip replacement. You've had the hip replacement, which is a fairly painful procedure to recover from. And you're on the ward there, and then you've got physios that are coming in, knock, knock, knock. Hello, Janet. Mehmet's here. Mehmet to see you. I don't think I would introduce myself like that. I don't think I would. That sounds a bit weird. But, you come in and you say hello to the patient. And you say, well, look, we need to go through your hip precautions. Remember, you're not allowed to do this. You're not allowed to do that. You're not allowed to do this. Oh, why is that, Mehmet? Why am I not allowed to do those things? Well, you know what, Janice, if you do that, sorry to Janice that's watching. If you do that, hip's at risk of dislocating. Oh, what is that going to do to a patient? Tell me that. Imagine that scenario. You're in pain. You've been in pain. You've had surgery. You're in rehab. And you're being told, don't do these things because there is a risk of dislocation. That's not going to make anyone feel better. That's not going to instill confidence. That's not going to empower them. That's going to make them feel like, damn it, I need to avoid some of this stuff. I need to be cautious. And what that does is it breeds hypervigilance. It breeds over-awareness, over-analysis of every movement. Oh gosh, I'm 5 degrees off my max there. And they get worried, they get anxious, they become fear avoidant. And unfortunately, some patients aren't even told when to stop. Now, let me ask you this question. If a patient has been given hip precautions and hasn't been told when to stop, when do you think on average they stop doing them? Not all patients, but there is a significant amount of patients who will keep doing it because no one has told them when to stop. So it's fine if you're giving hip precautions, and look, for some context they are still needed, especially for those who have instability risk, Ehlers-Danlos, hypermobility, hip dysplasia patients. Sometimes they're still given it. The context of that makes sense. But for the majority, like, actually we need to tell them you do it for this amount of time and then you stop, and then we start trying to make sure that you can tolerate all the things that you need to do. Because guys, I'll tell you what, anyone who has watched the hip replacement surgery will know at the end of the surgery they are testing that hip joint within an inch of its life, and if it was going to be a problem, you would soon know about it. So the hip is being tested. The hips are robust, and interestingly, what the research does show is it slows down someone's recovery. So not only is the risk of dislocation not like we once thought, due to the factors that I've said, we've also got patients who, having had the hip precautions, may well struggle to rehab as well as their counterparts because of that exact reason, that they are anxious, that they are scared, that they're thinking like, geez, like, what's the point? Like, if I can't do this stuff. And you have to remember this, people have been in pain for loads of, like, long periods of time. They shouldn't be having to go to have a hip replacement to then be limited, to made to feel anxious. This is a procedure to make them want to thrive and allow them to do a lot. And it starts from the first bit of rehab. It starts from that first day after surgery, allowing them to do what they do. And that's why there are some surgeons around the world that don't give hip precautions, because they're aware of how small the risks are. And also, you've got to be a bit pragmatic with this stuff and sensible. Most patients, having just had a hip replacement, they're probably not going to want to lean down and do break dancing and do the splits. Like, there's just some stuff that the hip won't want to do anyway. It's about using common sense. However, like I said, if you're in a situation or an environment where these are still being used, I certainly would advise, if you're looking to stop, looking to change them, if you're a clinician looking to implement change, do it in a professional way. If you're a patient wanting to understand when to stop and the needs, do it in a good way so you don't kind of overcome and overstep that clinician and patient like respect and boundaries, and just do it in a way where you say, well, you know, I just want to understand, if I have to do the hip precautions, when can I stop? Or equally, if you're in a healthcare situation, figuring out, well, could we in some way try and demonstrate the validity or the need to use it, and see actually if the recovery rates for some patients within where you're working can be quicker by taking it out. But ultimately, these procedures are really an absolute like feature of recovery that still get on my nerves. I don't, like I said, it's just one of those things. It's just about understanding the nuance to all of it. But if you're a patient who has hip replacements due, booked, upcoming, just been had, I would urge you with all of my will to watch this video on a guide to hip replacement recovery, and let me know what you think.